I think the universities that we have, the kind of talent that we produce, the kind of education degrees that we have, and also the setup, the Indian setup for manufacturing supply for the pharma sector, as well as the the country setups for marketing and all, provides that talent, which is the core stream or core theme for developing a GCC at a place like Hyderabad in India. So the biggest strength is talent, followed by the keenness and the energy levels that we show when we're talking to the stakeholders all across the globe. So I'll pass it over.
Just few points. Uh, there's a Sari Peterpe and how can really can't match this view that you serious. I couldn't answer and question here and so strange yeah, like carry this steps we had the English population the kind of population that raised by engineers that was secretaries. The whole ecosystem that was created over the period of time with such a vast supply of talent that is somewhere. In addition to that, thanks I'm saying the workers and the patient go through such a scene. Yeah. It is created as a vast system of talent so slower pace that is repeated. You use. And overall, I think that the ecosystem also has a very our certain partners in the independence. Also, there is that very perspective the reduces very heavy at the rise of the nominal lake is the for heavy it's a kind of content second area. That the people here are partners across the globe. Here only so it's to high that's supposed to is the answer is that so is to seize the perform the other foreign lists. That it doesn't become a hard ciphers. The parties. Thank you. Shilpa?
Yes, sir. So, you've already spoken about talent and uh, to add to that, additionally, now we are spun off from Novartis, and you've already mentioned Novartis so many times that it was your a decade ago and kind of set the pace for all GCCs to come here. So it was a no-brainer for us to stay on in Hyderabad. And also, additionally, Sandoz has manufacturing, it has a development center here in Genome Valley. We have Novartis already had set the evidences that this is the best place to have GCC, so it was very natural for us to be here. And also, unlike Novartis, which is an innovator company, we are a generics and biosimilar company, right? And again, from a generics point of view, there's no better place than Hyderabad with all generics manufacturing capability here, and which was very evident when we had the COVID setup. So it was the ecosystem for us. In addition, obviously, the talent, established setups with the evidence already quite obvious, and then being a generics power thing was something that really worked for us.
Wonderful. Thank you. Suraj?
And I think I echo it on my panelists in a way that we are talent. Let's and uh, we in got an but sculpted some sort as an idea. Thought that he don't go canvassing in this
Only the rape kingdom. Yeah,
and that is how always changed him. Jorit Sasek and that is for him. The other parts I really want to knowledge among the game like them is so it's bugs you can never think of. So that is something get by kill. Something is like No is never there in our dictionary. Even if we can't do it, we'll do anything. We'll move mountains and we'll get the stuff done. But now it's a time where we are using our academics, our talent, our inborn, that uniqueness in each of our work that we do or that we execute to see how we can really harness the situation and deliver what is really promised and what we are here for and established as a GCC. That's my two cents.
What great all the was the digital awareness is something that we talked about as well, availability of engineers, etc. And also the scale, right? I mean, talent is available in many countries, but then the scale, if you want to set up a 5,000, 4,000 member setup, that will be a challenge one. The one thing that I would like to re-emphasize is also the ecosystem. Enablers like T-Hub, where we are right now seated, right? This is also acting as a very strong attractor for the pharma companies. Suraj, staying with you, uh, there are many pharma companies which want to enter India right now. It's not the GCCs are set, right? Obviously, the big pharma is already here, and now the mid-level pharma companies are trying to set up shops as well. So, what is the one probably advice or key nuska you would say in Hindi would you give to these pharma companies if they are trying to enter into India? And what should they look for? What should they watch out for? And probably then I can ask Mrinal to answer this as well.
You would do that's it. BK. BP the lactate in learns of what we are capable of, and we do the business who are and you are capable in that selected cannot be really create the law. Drug discovery wasn't there in our blood, but we are ready. But if the destiny is up, on the hand, we've expected a lot, done this, and that you're the college trouble, right? You'll have a focused connection in terms of where you want to go and track you on 5 to 8 years tiny stock terms of where you want to be in each of those years and track to it. And that is what I'd say is that here with what you contribute and what you want to extend that 8 years kind of and getting the daddy right son.
So, and thanks for this. In fact, that's important. I think most important criteria for success of any GCC, be it pharma or any other sector, is the buy-in that management has in it. So, who is the sponsor? Who are the people who are key to set up that GCC? Is it coming from the top or is it something that is being pushed from the bottom? That plays a very pivotal role in setting up a GCC. And even coming from the top, do you have a clear structure, clear approach, clear operating model in mind? What do you want to do? What is the outcome that you're trying to achieve? That's very important to start with. And I think that's where Sanofi has played a very has gotten some good results because of this. That there is a support, or there is the whole sponsorship is coming from the excom. They know where they want to reach in 3 years, 4 years time, and we are making substantial efforts to reflect that on all ground as well. Having those simple things as visits by the stakeholders, creating that awareness what the talent work can be, and also going and doing some marketplaces, educating the stakeholders what can be done in India or any other hub, for example, is very important. So that buy it from the management, that sponsorship from the management is really important for the success of any GCC.
Thank you, boys. Shilpa, a question to you. There is this thinking that things can be done on the headquarter better. Why sell it to area? Okay. And can they give the same level of work, the quality, outputs, and outcome, etc.? So, what in the operating model helps a the GCCs getting those leadership words, getting those decision making abilities? Can you share the experience around that?
See, hello. So that's a very good question, and we have to look at it from our point of view. We are not an established GCC yet. We just spun off 1 year ago, But what we have seen is having a very clear location strategy early on really helps. And stakeholder buy-in, your executive buy-in is very important. Your CEO also buys into that strategy. That is what we have seen is very important. Uh, and how do you uh, convince your top leadership to consider? I mean, of course, we say seat at a table, but when do you have a seat at a table also matters. As I said, if I may, I don't want to name the GCC, but we have even mature GCC without a proper, clear location strategy, which is blessed by the executive leadership. Uh, even when they are quite mature. But what we have seen in our experience in Sandoz that when you have that early on with your CHR, your transformation leader, with your CEO missing it, it just can be scaled down really fast. And then it's quite a fast movement and transition. Then most of the battle is won.
Thank God for having people like Vas Narasimha, Paul Helser, and Richard Saylor and such who are such uh, positive enablers for India and the sector over here. Nilay, a quick question to you. What's your thought on GCC and technology? Because many companies still look at India as a technology hub, and technology and probably finance and BPO kinds of areas are probably the first sectors they want to start at GCC. And pharma has this perspective of the domain heavy aspects, right? How do you see this balance playing out? I know I started with technology, but then if you can elaborate on the broader spectrum. That's really appreciate. I can't say the question was pretty in parts. So the first time that technology paralysis surgery research at so the new the factors you can this really good. And our people example like just to say they are solving like some operation can show some issue. And then he started showing it to me, which was kind of a house version of Gemini on a very small scale. But then things that like maybe 10 years back I wanted to do, I was seeing it from someone who has 2 years into the industry. So that was pretty impressive, but it goes back to the talent that we have in the technology, the interest people have, the graduates have, and how quickly they develop that knowledge is pretty impressive. That is one aspect of it. The second aspect in terms of technology that enables us is the buzzwords that we all keep hearing about is big data, data science, AI, ML, NLP. So these are making actual difference. Um, what I anticipate and what we are already experiencing in these areas is that as we work on this technology, why is this initiating that such she is up this yeah sexy. Das go beyond eyes. And then the stimulus then what that work is lab curator. And that means there are better handed questions that he wanted to answer in the past or because of OPEX here. And now, ideally, those who is so paid, they get the pressure in their back. So the nation office skills keeps growing, even as you see some more modern on that stage. Thanks. That was a trick question, and you took the bait. So we are going to ask you some serious questions on tap. Okay? Considering you're sitting in the work street of pharma over here, in 5 meters you have like 6 pharma GCCs sitting around you, know it. And so you can probably score for India as a talent, and these people have a different challenge. So the question is, how you ensure you get great talent, who attract great talent, you develop those and you keep that talent for your respective organizations. I'm not asking them to shape your talent strategy, just for your thinking inside. Yeah.
I could start. I think that's my favorite question. So, I think talent one, the visibility has to be there. People should be aware that there is an organization that exists that provides the needs uh, or a career path, not just roles, that I would be interested in. So that's number one, people should be aware. And I think once they are aware, they also need to get interested. So they need to see what's happening at the organization so that uh, I would say that marketing, and I'm talking about the talent strategy here for a little bit, but that marketing needs to be done by organizations as well. That awareness that what do we do as an organization? How do we develop the careers? How do we engage people? How do we take interest in what they are interested in rather than just saying this is the role and this is what you do? So that becomes very important. And that's where I think nowadays social media plays quite a key role in establishing that. Once the people join, again, engagement is big factor. And looking at the millennials or whatever age group we are hiring, there are various things that you need to do to engage people, not just from a career perspective, but also to look at the overall life of the person. What would they be keen to do apart from work, and you bring that to work. How is the office looking like? Sometimes that's also very important for people. So we kind of uh, uh, keep that in mind while we're hiring, and we've done a lot of work in our office to showcase that. And also from and one of the very important things is when you need a lot of people, you also have a lot of first time managers, and those managers play a very key role in retailing those people. So you need to have the right set of managers, and you need to keep developing those managers. And that becomes a big focus area as well. So I think all of this together, and I'll let others also speak, but these are some of the important things I think.
Uh, See, guys, sorry, because some of my color Australia. The first thing you well, and the second was a collapse. I agree or we went to the next level, so I agree. I look at the answer. Uh, but I would only walk is the very tiny bit body. The walking so is dynamic. So how do you engage venture it process in these walk? So we like to get first day see it, third you get very plot, and then look at session. As soon as such great settle, she's dining sauce the market, and as she's rest, such is it. So really you see it very not in being minority or how we would mind different ways to take it to your palate. At the same time, the sound. Different members, it purposes is it station. So that is the possible try to sense the association to the programs that would better help you.
If I can, uh, from our perspective, it's all about taking a new game. And you had a lot of people within our workforce who are complex, has seen the A-Hail, headcount work, or nothing maxed, he could get great. And those are the ones it's like, look, aren't they? And the days set of learning keeps in English for ES or our for biggest. He do it. She's a well thought that he will because it's cheaper promote further art from our house. Okay. Picking out some of the cream of the lot, investing heavily into how they can really, take our specific assets or the work that's there on each of these assets forward. A spearhead, multifold is what we want to really envision, and keep those people in those areas. Uh, the key talent is in the Gen Alpha right now. And the Gen Alpha are the ones who have absolutely no patience whatsoever. I mean, let's face it, it is like that. And it is not their fault. We've given it, we are from the age of the normal analog telephones, and we've, catapulted to, what we see as cell phones. So we have the resilience, we have the time to really go through all that transition, So we are in a stage where it is quite difficult. It is tough. It is a really tough job for even for an experienced manager. And to retain those talents, you have to be a little innovative, break the traditional way of nurturing a talent, and look at a futuristic mode of how you can retain such talents, but at the same time ensure they are completely committed to your innovation strategy, to your growth strategy in terms of those critical molecules that you wanted to work on. I think these are some of the areas that you have to really put them in, and you show them the world through that.
Thank you very much, Suraj. One question for all of you. I was contemplating this consulting frameworks. We used to talk about cost as a driver. We used to talk about strategic value as a driver. We used to talk about innovation as a driver. When we headed nowadays, and I'm not talking about each of your companies, as an industry, when you talk about a pharma GCC, I know different companies you build different curves, but what's next in that curve? Is there some thinking? And you as a think, like, what do you think could be that? It'll probably structure very it. Well, I and these. Give a conciliation into the idea that you get tidy you are priority a this is conciliation you the boss have a size
We use the next gen AI and the plethora of technology and tools that comes along with it and its own creation. That's what we use to really take the folks forward and see how we can really better our modus operandi, our work culture on the whole. I think Yep, points. I was just asking was the copy yes since intelligent to see. And typically, the talking to various it's in different locations. I start with these partners and the partner. But since last few presentations, what has evolved for me is that the cost has become the last slide. So after you have talked about all the developments, all the progress that you have made, that if you really have still some time left to talk, then the cost conversation is happening. So I see that as a major transformation. The conversations are more focused on the kind of solutions we are building, the digital transformation that we are making, how it is panning out for the organization, and how organization is reacting to it. These are the key conversations that are taking place, and hence, among these conversations, the cost is taking backseat. The vast talent available is enabling us to show the value which is beyond cost. It is beyond cost.
Absolutely. And I think I'll just use two words: the right talent. Do we have the right talent? That's one of the conversation. And how do we develop the talent? And what is the innovation ecosystem that we have? These are the two most discussed, almost, the themes that we're moving towards, I would say.
I think how we are able to enable the enterprise priorities is what is the challenge now. Sitting in the GCCs, say making access happen for a generics company like ours. What are the solutions and program and collaboration and partnership we can bring about within the enterprise and outside with the ecosystem? And now that's not something where cost always is an underlying factor. Let's not that's bread and butter. We cannot put that away, but now that's not enough for us in terms of
I'm like a true operations person.
so just to summarize, I think it's how you're able to enable the enterprise priorities that is set out by the organization, by the CEO.
So thank you very much for that insight. Now, the one question I have is uh, for your organizations and also probably, what are the opportunities and challenges that you see for GCCs over the next 5 years? I know obviously Gen AI could be one of those, right? But what else? Is it only talent? Is it innovation that's impacting the processes? It's go here some perspectives, and you can go any direction. So,
So, do you
so let's talk about both opportunities and challenges for next 5 years. I think, and this partially goes to the very first question you asked about the model. Um, the way we started, we we have anchored ourselves on the analytics. It covers the wide plethora of services like operations related to analytics, advanced analytics, AI, ML, Gen AI. Everything is in this suite covered, enabling technologies as well. Now that we are doing quite well on that front, that has opened up a door for going into different areas. For example, medical writing. And then there are project management, agile coaching. There are so many other areas we potentially see opportunities to evolve it. And the good thing is that thanks to our other peers, that kind of talent is already built. So that is what I see as an opportunity. The scope of services that GCCs are offering is most likely going to get much broader. In terms of challenges, I would say here the talent competition is quite intense as well. So getting the right talent and retaining that talent is as a individual company is going to be something you'll have to always think about. And as you rightly pointed out, that while cost is a secondary factor, it is still underlying important factor. So the cost, the inflation in India is growing. Eastern European countries are catching up to that. So we'll have to see how that cost differential comes into play in the future.
I
go ahead? Go.
I just want to add, maybe here it also depends on the maturity curve of the organization. What kind of challenges or what kind of opportunities you're looking at. So if you're in a scale mode, you're just thinking about talent acquisition and talent retention and that part. If you're at a stable mode and you're not really scaling up, then there is a push happening. What exactly are you doing? What's your value add? So then we start thinking about innovation. Let me do something which proves that I'm a part of this. When I'm saying I'm a part, the organization, GCC is a part of the organization, and we understand what are the values or a vision for the organization is. So it keeps changing, I would say, but more or less it's around talent, innovation. Again, these are the two themes that are the most challenging in GCC environment.
So I have a couple of responses. Geopolitical crisis, rising pressures, talent wars already that we see around. These are some of the, you see it as a challenge or you see it as an opportunity. I mean, if you're able to see it as an opportunity, you thrive. Competitiveness, obviously, the cost pressure, inflation, so rising inflations. Are your locations where we are still competitive? Maybe no longer. We see locations in Europe probably coming up almost equal to ours now. So we have to continue evolving and checking ourselves on the value proposition we are giving. And it depends whether we see this as challenges or opportunities. It's how we evolve as a GCC.
Because an opportunity is ask your point. Is to go kind of on very own vision at the same time. Had it is such a parent bonus. Youth upbringing and going to various college, training them in terms of what is the next state of affairs in terms of healthcare systems, pharma, etc. Uh, this from GSK GCC standpoint, I think it's more in terms of how technical advantage our global organization can really leverage us in their overall foray of advancement is what we see as an opportunity. But that's us. I speak for myself and I speak for how we are moving on. But that is where we see as an opportunity, and that's what we really want to invest more. And obviously, pipeline is definitely the next thing that we really want to concentrate further. But how is this definitely going to spearhead our pipeline growth is also another area that we're really looking forward to.
It's interesting. Thank you very much, Suraj, for sharing your experience. I have one last question for, and then I will probably ask the audience to type as well. And this was for the benefit of our colleagues from the government, city, and Safi. What enablers do you want from the government profession student? I know Mr. Jayesh talked about all the fantastic stuff they're already doing. Is there anything you wishes that they could help you for? Just a question.
Okay, Bani, Isaac, I think this question's answer is already answered by, Mr. Ranjit. And which was one main aspect. I didn't keep the policies as clear, as smooth as possible. And they made it sure. And I think most of them have recorded, and I'll take those recordings. I was really flabbergasted by the way, you know, Telangana has actually, catapulted from what I saw, 2003. And I saw the last image in 2023. It was an amazing growth. And if I may quote a story, recently we had an SEDM forum that happened, and I had my Polish friend come along with my boss. And both of them said that we are going to meet someone, you carry on with the forum. I said, okay, whom are you going to meet? I said, we're going to meet the ministers of the folks. I said, okay. Uh, so when they came back, my Polish friend, as though he's anyway fair, he became all the more fair, as though he's seen a ghost. And my boss was absolutely speechless. He wasn't talking. It was very unlike of him. So I asked him, what happened? They said, never seen something like this in our lives. And when Mr. Sujit started speaking about the reality here, it is definitely not a joke what they had said. It is actually the reality. So I think you mean it. I think you walk the talk. And I think this is what really the industry needs, at least the emerging ones at least. And I think there is a good future. So thank you so much. I think this is something that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I think you've already said it, but I do think the talent war is getting very weird and difficult. As you can see, all the Pharma GCCs are landing up in Hyderabad. You're already seeing a lot of push and pull on the rewards, on the salaries and attrition. So we want to be able to have enough skill in the market for us to pick up. So we look at those partnerships. The plan is great. We want to see the implementation also, happening in those lines. And secondly, I think from the colleague, our associates' point of view, travel to this area has become very difficult. And I know the consortium is already taking that up, but just to reiterate that to make our employees' lives easier, can we have some smoother, simpler way of them to be able to access this part of the city? That will be very helpful because that's a productivity loss for us as well, for the hours that they spend traveling.
Take board access X.
So, let's try but at least in obviously the Dorian by really this opportunity for a lot of student type business set and grow and meet their business objectives. So that's a job very well done. This forum is also an example of the vision that the government has. So once again, great job there. Thanks for having us here. Having said that, I think any urban center goes through that challenge when it is growing quite rapidly. How do you manage the day-to-day life of individuals, or what role government can play in that? In the past, roti kapda makan used to be the challenge. Now the challenge is for youngsters finding a bachelor's quarter where they can live comfortably. At the same time, take a metro to the work and have fairly easy commute. The footpath where they can walk without having a fear to be hit on the road. And finally, since we are in a quite globalized world, we have a lot of our business partners visiting us as well. And at times we end up in a situation where finding hotels is not easy. So adding some of that makan part in a way, this could be all great value adds for us to see continuous growth here.
I think everyone has covered everything, but I just wanted to add, I worked in different states. But the kind of support that you have here from the government is different and extremely good. You know, you go, you talk to them, and things get worked out. So that I really like working in Telangana. Apart from the roads, that can pimentate well, but it's a fantastic city to stay in, and the support from government is great.
Thank you very much, Alice. So now I'll open the forum for a couple of questions from the audience. And after this, I would request Sonia to come up on stage. Uh, so it's open to the audience. Somebody could manage. Can you see a show of hands? I think little mics up.
So the Zoe cabinet de-emphasized the physics. Now, when we made the hub, we ensure that it is not just one group that is representing the hub. We ensure that whatever is seated in the hub gets collaborated and there is a single point decision maker available and a DIA which we really follow through and through. Now, each of the functions that we have a center of excellence. We have those respective leaders from each of those center of excellences. We ensure that there is a cross collaboration happening at every point in time. We ensure that there is a town hall, a mixed gathering where we have that level of domain knowledge cascaded and shared at all times. There is never a moment where we don't really talk about someone else's function and see what are the possibilities of bringing in some level of answer to us or a solution to a problem what they're facing. So it is like we try to understand, we cascade and share learnings in terms of what they have faced in their entire project circulation, and then see how we can bridge some of those areas of inconsistencies what we see today at this point. And at least that's how we been managing and various other opportunities that we get.
But I think I'll just like to add there, and I can relate to this question because this has been thrown to us as a challenge for 2025. Uh, so what happens? A typical example: if someone joins an IP or a digital team, that's cross industry, so no pharma background, and sometimes some words or some slangs are like some other language. So I think what we've consciously started are some bits, bite-size programs, like for example, R&D for non-pharma people. You just watch a 3 minutes video, you understand what exactly very high level it means, or what are our key products, or why are we doing well, for example, as an organization. So those bite-sized videos or a couple of e-learning programs have helped us. I wouldn't say we are there, but yes, that has helped us reducing that domain knowledge challenge.
And if I one more that also found something that he today, and I see Paraya. He had a lot of Sayuri who's been they don't talk. Most of the times it is bridged by a vendor. So we've taken off all that. So we've ensured that, as I said, we have those key leaders in a panel, and we have those constant conversation that happens on a weekly basis. If it doesn't, if no one has a topic to talk about, at least their function comes on the table where we can discuss about it and deliberate in terms of what they do, what they have as a solution, what can we do about it. So there's always a we for their particular problem state.
That's what it is.
I wouldn't call it a talent war. I would say it's the ecosystem where you develop the talent and it moves around. It's good for everyone. It's beneficial for everyone. It's everywhere though. Medical writing, stats programming, even commercial. That's a big area where data and analytics is required, and sometimes people have 3 offers in hand, and they reject your offer on the last day. So there are these scenarios in all across all factions.
This young example really set up one of the series eventually. So, as I mentioned, Genentech, I was once upon a time part of Genentech. Genentech had like 50, 70 buildings in San Francisco. This was like 7, 8 years back. Uh, Genentech was the only entity in that campus. I recently went there, and now there are like another 30, 40 companies just in the vicinity of that campus. So, what it has done is created a whole ecosystem and talent pool. Other companies went there for talent. But eventually, what it ended up doing is creating a much larger ecosystem where you can actually find more talent. So, in the short term or at an individual level, it may appear as a challenge, but it is a thing which is really good for the industry.
A lot of these occasions happen in the siloed function, and hence one talent will not know what your talent has. And we've started breaking this down by these collaboration between us. We've seen whether the functions can be easily maneuvered to probably a third party just to see if additional, you know, non-value added tasks can be given off, and we work on slightly further that takes a lot of our brains, right? That way, I'm so for me, it actually works in both ways. It's a win-win for me. I get to give the business that is required for the third-party vendors. At the same time, I get an opportunity to have the functions speak to each other. This way, we have tried to bring down the wall that is there amongst these specific functions. And mind you, this pharma industry is such that each function, each area of work is unique and it is specific, and you can't. It's a polarity. You cannot do away with any of them. You have to have them, and they have to work in harmony. So that is what we're trying to bridge, breaking the silos at all. It is very easy to say that break the silos, but the walking the talk is what really matters. So this, at least we've started our journey this way. Now with the automations coming in and with all the AI, ML, and the new tech buzz that is now introduced into the market, it is helping us all the more bridging the gap what we see today.
Thanks, Swapnil. And with this, I thank my panelists for a wonderful discussion. And with this, I would like to request Soumya to come back on stage.